On April the 5th, we had a shootout at the OK Corral in Blythewood, and I probably described it pretty good. I had a press conference earlier and talked about some arrests we made and what we were going to do. This is kind of an update on where we're at, because not a day goes by I don't get somebody ask me a question about what happened in Blythewood, what have we done. So I think it's important that we update on the arrests that we've made and what we've been able to find out. Now, if you ask me what caused this shooting, it's probably going to be the same thing that I said the other day, last Friday, press conference about Columbia Place Mall. People who just don't like each other, and then people who just don't care. When you ask these individuals that commits the shooting, and we'll show you some of it in a minute, what were you shooting at? The response was, I was just shooting. I hear a shot, so I pull my gun out and I just start shooting. Again, only by the grace of God that we don't have many people killed. We had a young lady that was shot, didn't have anything to do with any of it. She just happened to be there. She ends up getting shot, but with the amount of bullets that were fired, it's a higher power that protected all these people that happened. One common denominator you're going to hear me say on most of these people, they're out on bond, out on bond, out on bond. That just, I don't control bond. I don't control the court system. What we do control at the Sheriff's Department is the investigation and making an arrest. What happens after that is entirely out of our hands. But we will make the arrest, just like I stand up here and say that eventually we're going to catch you. It's been a little bit over a month. We've made a lot of progress, and we still have a lot more to do. There's going to be more arrests that's made. We'll start off with the video that we showed you initially, where you see everybody. And again, listen to the shots. How many shots? Again, you heard a lot of shots being fired. You saw a lot of panic because there was a lot of people there. This did not have anything to do with the town of Blythewood, except Blythewood just happened to be the place that they all gathered that night. And unfortunately, when you have large groups of unsupervised young people, somebody's going to pull a gun out, they're going to fire the first bullet, and from then it just goes from there. I'll show the next one we got. This is one of the shooters. Not shooting anybody, just shooting. Here's his people with him. You see they run into the side of the building. This is the young man that was in the car. If you go back. Not that one. He's going to be the one on the right-hand side. Right there. That's him. Next video, you'll see where he's shooting. There's him with his gun. He's shooting. Jamari Nelson. 23. 23 years old. I've seen a lot of statements made that these were teenagers. These are young people. I don't consider 23 years old to be a teenager or a young person. That's an adult. Now, you had young people there, but why someone who's 23 years old in a car with other people, got guns, and they're just shooting? That just shows you just how outlandish some of these instances that we have to deal with. Nelson was arrested. We did a search warrant at his home. We found 2 guns. One of the guns has been linked to another crime that we're working on another agency with that. So he's been arrested. In the previous press conference, I talked about the Maserati. A Maserati. It was very obvious it was there. But not only was it there, and I didn't say this initially, was it was involved in a hit and run. It hit someone that was there. So I asked the public to help us. The public did help us. And Miss Marion Jacobs was arrested in the top right-hand corner. In just a second, up here, you'll see where the Maserati comes out. And right about here, runs over someone. He doesn't stop, doesn't check to see if he killed anybody. He just keeps on going. Mr. Jacobs here, who's 18, previously was arrested by us for attempted murder. He pled to a lesser charge and was released. So he was not out on bond when this happened, but he had just recently pled guilty and received a sentence with no jail time. But then he's out here doing something like this, running over people. Suber was previously arrested by us on I believe, April 10th. We didn't have enough at that time to charge him with being involved in doing the shootings. We developed some more information. So on April 30th, he was arrested for aggravated assault twice, possession of a weapon, doing a violent crime. But you also see where he was charged on both of them, released on bond. So these individuals that we're talking about, they're all out. They're back out in the community. The next slide. This one was present at the shooting, didn't do the shooting. He's 20 years old, not high school. You know, some talked about this was a prom. I don't think 20 years old he's in a prom. But we had charges on him for attempted grand larceny and possession of a machine gun from a previous offense. But he was there. These are the type of individuals that we're dealing with these guns that are out here shooting. The rest of the pictures should be other ones that we've already previously arrested. And again, you see by their names, out on bond, out on bond, out on bond. Our investigation is continuing. We've got more that we're going to arrest. The community has been a tremendous help to us, providing us information. We've had some parents come in with their young person, not the ones who are involved in the shootings. Let me make sure we're clear about it. The ones who are involved in the shooting, their parents hadn't brought them in. These are individuals that you saw initially where they were doing the running and trying to get away. We've had those parents who actually saw this and then brought their children in and gave us statements. You heard probably 70 rounds fired. You only saw a little bit of it today on those. There's a lot more rounds that were fired. We're still identifying people, and we're going to continue to do it, but I think it was important that the community, particularly the Blythewood community that this has really had such a big impact on, knows that we're working this case. It's a priority case for us, and that we're going to continue to work on it, and we're going to continue to do our part, and that's hold those responsible for these shootings, hold them accountable. What happens to them after that is out of our control. Questions?
Yeah, Sheriff, I believe you said Jacobs was not on bond at the time?
No, he'd already pled guilty and received his sentence.
So, other folks that were out on bond, were any of them on ankle monitors?
There was someone on an ankle monitor up there that was on ankle monitor for, I think, 2 counts of murder. But he was there with those that were doing the shooting. He did not fire his gun, so we have not arrested him, but he had his ankle monitor up there where he was probably should not have been, but he was a participant in that the people he were with had guns and they were shooting. And he probably had a gun on him too. You can see him in the video, and you can see when he takes off and runs where he's holding his side. And that's not because he's out of breath. That's probably because he's holding this gun to keep from falling out of his pants.
So he wasn't supposed to be in that area then if he had on an ankle monitor at the time?
Probably not. Not with that crowd that he was with.
So I guess my other question is, why wasn't anyone alerted when he was outside of whatever parameters he was supposed to be in?
That's a question you're going to have to ask the people who run these ankle monitors and those that they report it to. It doesn't really come to us. Again, I think the ankle monitors is a feel-good program that wants people to feel good, when it's really not that effective because it's not preventing anybody from committing crimes. People who've got these ankle monitors on fail to charge them up, they cut them off, they go where they're not supposed to. You know, you're supposed to be under house arrest, only go to church and school or doctor's office or something, and they go all wherever they want to go. It's just not being an effective program. All right, no more questions?
When you say these young people were out on bond, do you mean they're out on bond now?
They out on
bond at the time?
They out on bond now. They've all gotten out on
And
bond.
when you said there were 70 shots, there were 70 shots in all, or there were more than 70?
We're estimating probably about 70. We collected a lot of shell casings, but again, as you see people are running and people are driving away, these shell casings are getting thrown all over the place and run over.
And what gang was involved in this?
No gang.
No Bloods, no Crips?
No, there's no gang. These are just people who, I'm not even gonna say they don't like each other. They just hear a shot, so you pull your gun out and you start shooting. You don't have a target really. You're just shooting. You saw 200 kids running. Which one was a target? You don't know. So people are just shooting because they could care less about who they hit.
And were most of them from the Blythewood area?
No, they were all over the Midlands. These were not Blythewood kids. These were adults and young people from all over the Midlands of Columbia. Again,
how did they know to go there?
these are pop-up parties, put it out on social media that we're all going to be a location. We're all going to be at Blythewood at the car wash, or we're going to be Blythewood at the Waffle House.
Do you all monitor that and try to be there?
We monitor it as best we can. Yeah, we do. But again, they call pop-up parties for a reason because they pop up very quickly. You know, you put it out and 15 minutes later you have 200 people show up. All right, thank y'all.